On March 17, 2024, just after dawn, Newark police were called to a quiet stretch near the Manning Street Bridge in Ohio. There, in the back seat of a parked car, they found an unconscious young lady, 21-year-old Tala Smith. Her ID was still on her, and her phone was on the passenger seat. The police reviewed this ID, which was inside her purse. They confirmed her identity. They were lucky enough to have been in the area and spotted this unconscious girl inside this car. First responders rushed her to the Lincoln Memorial Hospital, but it was clear her injuries were severe. The Newark doctors determined she'd been beaten and strangled. They alerted law enforcement. Within hours, doctors made a call no one wants to make. Tala's condition was critical. She was still alive, but unresponsive. She got airlifted to the Grant Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio. 6 days later, she died from the injuries. This is Strawberry Inc. I'm your host, Santiago, and tonight, we're diving into the story of the traitor boyfriend who police say ended Tala's life. Investigators quickly began piecing together what happened. They reviewed surveillance footage, interviewed witnesses, reviewed footage, messages in particular from her phone, and soon a pattern began to emerge, one pointing directly at Tala's boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Hoskinson. Detectives reviewed very closely her text messages, surveillance tapes, and interviews with friends and family. What surfaced was a troubling picture: a young lady trapped in an abusive relationship. The cops determined that Andrew had been with Tala inside a family member's home. He had strangled her, and then he did so again the following day, this time leaving her unconscious, heading out to ditch the body inside this car. Andrew was no stranger to law enforcement. He was already known for being a violent person and a bully. In 2019, he'd been placed on probation for endangerment. 2 years later, in 2021, he violated the probation by committing an act of disorderly conduct, another red flag. He was summoned to court for that, but never showed up. The Newark police had to pick him up, and he served time at the Lincoln County Justice Center until the following July. Despite these run-ins, prosecutors said there had not been enough evidence to bring more severe charges against Andrew directly to his abusive relationship with Tala, and as well violent behaviors against others. Until now, the system focused on sillier crimes and let this aggressive individual roam free for a while. When he ended up causing someone's death, that's when things got serious in the eyes of the Newark Police Department. Days after Tala's body was found, the police spotted Andrew walking just blocks away from the scene. His arrest was swift. Inside the Newark police station, officers confirmed what they already feared. They had their suspect in custody, and the search for him was over. Andrew Hoskinson was taken back to the Lincoln County Justice Center. This time, it was for sure that he would not be regaining his freedom in a while. He was brought shortly after to Judge David Brandstuhl, who issued him a $1.5 million bond, locking him up to await trial. This was a hearing held at the Lincoln County Court of Common Pleas. At first, Andrew was booked on attempted murder, domestic violence, and second-degree strangulation. All felonies, but not severe enough considering the nature of the crime he committed. But this was only the beginning. As the case developed, Andrew was tied to a criminal probe within the state of Ohio. Prosecutor Jenny Gonzalez Wells, leading Licking County, presented the probe to a grand jury at the Common Pleas Court. On March 28th that year, the panel returned an indictment. The domestic violence charge was dismissed, but the rest were not. They were confirmed. The grand jury as well added 2 counts of aggravated felony murder and 1 count of felony second-degree felonious assault. Wells unsealed the indictment and handed the case over to Special Prosecutor Michael Schwartz. Andrew's attorney, Joseph Edwards, whom he privately hired, entered a not guilty plea for him on April 2nd during a virtual hearing with Judge Brandstuhl. Andrew appeared through a Cisco video call from the Justice Center. That plea set in motion what was supposed to be a full trial. But things would change several months later. On October 9th, 2025, just 4 days before the scheduled trial, Andrew Hoskinson changed his plea. Under a deal with the prosecution, he admitted guilt to a single count of felony murder. In exchange, their remaining charges were dropped. A few days later, on October 13th, Judge Brandstuhl sentenced him for the aggravated murder, 15 years to life in prison. The following month, Andrew requested to withdraw the guilty plea, but that request was denied by the judge on December 3rd, 2025. He has since appealed to the higher courts, but for now, that matter is pending, and he is serving his sentence at the Noble Correctional Institution in Caldwell, Ohio. While the legal system moved forward, Tala's family grieved quietly her loved ones. There was no public funeral, just an online memorial where friends could submit pictures, share words, and remember her life. Her body was cremated through the Ohio Cremation and Memorial Society, their Columbus site. The family even spoke publicly. They claimed that they had moved to Ohio from Alabama and were preparing to move out to go to Texas. But Tala was refusing to move with them because she wanted to stay with Andrew. Little did they know that Andrew was an abusive boyfriend. Before they got a chance to move, Tala died. The family also claimed that during sentencing, Andrew was fake crying. There were no true tears in his eyes, and it was clear that he was acting in order to look like a victim. Andrew was all along a rude individual manipulating, and he is now where he deserves to be, prison. Tala Smith was just 21. She was a daughter, a friend, a young lady who did not get the chance to live out the rest of her life. And as the judges gavel came down, and Andrew Hoskinson's fate was sealed. One chapter was closed, but another began. The fight for awareness, for justice, and for safety continues. This has been Strawberry Inc. I'm your host, Santiago. Thank you for listening. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, know that help is available. Call the domestic violence hotline or go to the police. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. If you are trapped in a violent situation and have access to a phone, just call emergency responders. 911 if you're in America. 999 if you're in the UK. Thank you for listening. May Tala rest in peace. Have a good rest of your day.